Welcome to Taking Action. This is our second show. We got a lot of great comments on our first show. Keep them coming. We want to hear what you want to see, how you feel. Hopefully, I can accommodate them. When you watch, if you subscribe, give us a thumbs up. It helps and lets us know you're with us. I was hailed as a premier bookmaker, probably one of the most successful and biggest of all time. I almost got the rest of my time for being that in a penitentiary or a prison, which I did serve some time for it. I would explain to you what a bookmaker does. It's no different than what you're betting with today or going to be. And I'm going to assume that you know little about gambling and some of the falsehoods that they give you, but we'll get to that later on in the show. I want you to understand gambling, understand a bookmaker, understand a bettor's point of view, and where they come together. Inherently, bookmaking started out with what's called a wire room. You got a code because it was illegal. My code was always, I was the ghost, the wizard, Merlin, for obvious reasons. Ghost, they couldn't find me. Wizard, because I could pull the rabbit out of the hat. And Merlin, because I was a wizard. And my first, when I did make the transition to computers, or you could dial, place your bets with me on phone, I was the wizard.com. It was very successful, only because I like wizards. People call me the wizard because the way I do sports. And the collective here in Washingtonville is the Washingtonville Wizards. So I'm surrounded by wizards. So, okay, a bookmaker is a person that takes your bet. He is making book, and he builds his book of clients. Through this show, we are going to try to educate you on the simplicity of gambling. Okay. When you see, let's say, like the Chiefs, there's two ways you'll see when you go to your phone or whatever. Let's say the Chiefs are playing the Bills. Whenever the line is next to the team, that is the point spread. And then you're going to decide how much you want to bet. So it'd be team line amount. So you see the 6 next to the Chiefs. That means the Chiefs, if you bet them, if it lands on 6 points, it's a push. If they win by more than 6, you win. If they lose the game outright or win by less than 6, the Bills win. So the Chiefs can win the game and not cover, but the Bills will always win the game if it falls within the point spread. Okay, whoever you see when you bet is on the bottom is home team. Some of them do it like this. Chiefs -6, Bills +6. The 49 would be the total. What do you mean by a total? The total is total number of points that are scored at the end of the game. There are quarter totals. That means at the end of the quarter. Halftime totals, third quarter totals, fourth quarter totals, as well as an adjusted line now. Yes, I took most of them, but in the wire rooms, I couldn't. When we went to computer, I could. Okay. Baseball, like when you see the Yanks, 180, Yanks are home. For every $100 you bet, if you lose, you have to pay the service $180. If you win, you get $100. Naturally, the Yanks are at home. So you'll only see one line the way they use. What I don't like is we worked on a dime line. That's what that's called. Every other line would be called the outside line, the sucker line. Bookmakers are supposed to work on a 10% spread. That's all we made. So if you took the Braves, when I say take, I mean you're getting the points or you're getting the money. If I say lay, you're laying the points or laying the money. So Yanks laying 180 or $180 to win 100. Braves taking 170. When you do it with your sports books that you see, they make you put it in on the underdog. The underdog is always taking the points or taking the money. The favorite is always laying the points or laying the money. If you see pick'em, that means there's neither an underdog or a favorite. They're equal. Okay. What's important most to know is before you make that bet, if it's more than 20 cents spread, and when I say 20%. So when 180 is bringing back 150, that's a 30% spread. There's 30 cents there. That's outrageous. I've seen it 40 and 50. Towards the end of the year, if you bet a lot. Purpose of the show of bookmaking and a bookmaking on one is to introduce you to the basics. So there's another thing called propositional bets. A propositional bet is, let's say, Mahomes will score 3.5 touchdowns. That means if he scores three, you got to watch out for that half. We call it the hook. The half will only be the hook. It could hurt you. If he scores 3 touchdowns, you lose by the hook. He didn't score 3.5. He's got to score 4 for you to win, but there is no push when you put the hook. That is another advantage a bookmaker has, is that hook. It changes your bet astronomically because there are no halves. So the push or break-even point is now taken away. As we delve into it further, there is hockey, there's basketball, and there's another thing. Let's go back to propositional bets. Could be field goals. How many field goals are in the game? How many interceptions are in the game? How many touchdowns in the game? How many yards? Those propositional bets are probably the toughest thing to evaluate, but if you find your niche and handicap, when I say handicap, you come up with your own line and the choice of bet you may want to make. Okay, other verbiage or rhetoric you will hear me say. Wise guy action. Those are the guys that change the lines all over the world. Not because of my status in the newspaper or labeled by law enforcement or federal agency. I was considered a wise guy. I got the best of it or laid the least of it, took the most of it, and was on the sharp side. All of that is done before the game is done. When I say variables, a variable, points scored by a team, points given up, weather was a variable, home field is a very, very big variable. In football, if you see the Chiefs playing, and Chiefs are home, let's say playing the Bills, if you see the Chiefs at 3, you automatically give up 3 points, get 3 points for being at home. So that means they pick them. So if you saw Bills 3 at Chiefs home, that means the real line should have been 6. You get 3 points. That's the way the line has always been set in NFL. Home field advantage is always 3 points that you give up for home field advantage. It's a very big factor in football. As we continue, we will talk about hockey. Hockey, we will talk about the goalie. Mostly, he's the most important person in the game for the line. Usually the line doesn't come out till the goalie is announced. Same with soccer and the pitcher in baseball. As we continue, money management will be. So let's go back to my verbiage. Wise guy, follower. A follower is a guy that will figure out what the wise guy bets are and tag along. He usually doesn't get the best of the line because it gets moved, because the only advantage a bookmaker has is to move that line. Doesn't decide the outcome of the game, but it's like a handicap in golf. It decides by how much you win or lose, and that's what your bet is most important at. Money management, your bankroll is very important. You will hear me say your bankroll. Money management would also be how much you like the game and how much to place upon it based upon your bankroll and performance. Like I go back to variables, there's variables I use. There are 17 variables to set an NFL line. Mine is significantly more. I want you to know and have the best of it going in. A bookmaker or a wise guy, even in baseball, I will say pennies. So if the line is 180, it goes to 183. That was 3 pennies, 3 cents. It's a small move. If it was a full thing, they call it 10 cents. If I say $1, that's $100 on a game. That's bookmaker and gambling verbiage. If I say a dime, that is 1,000. So 10 dimes would be 10,000. 3 dimes would be 3,000. A nickel is a $500 bet. A quarter is a $25 bet. So we're going to hear me use that verbiage. Early on, it's not used anymore. It used to be also a code system in case law enforcement was listening or getting your work. We'd use times. So a 5-time bet would be $25. A 100-time bet would be $500. Because when we did our work and we wrote, because part of it was to get the work when they arrested you, they would come on a no-knock warrant and get your work. With the computers, that's not the case. But in the old days, But that was a code, and it didn't correlate to money. So in order for gambling to be illegal, there has to be money bet because nobody ever bet a chicken and got arrested or took that bet. And I do have chickens, peacocks, etc., etc. I'm an animal lover. Okay. As we continue in this thing, I will bring you along of the basics of bookmaking. But remember, your basic is team who you're going to bet, the line, and the amount. Outside line is everything other than the dime line in baseball. Then there's Canadian line. In hockey, the Canadian line is where you lay and take money or you take and lay pucks. That's converted like in baseball. So you may lay one run. I'd say the Yankees are favored at 180, but if you lay a line, you may get 110 or only lay 110 or 120. So that's a mixed line, is what I'll say, because there's also money involved with the line. And I will show you the basics on if they're moving the line and the money proper for you. So all you have to know as a starter out is the verbiage that I use, and we'll come along nicely. Remember, when you look at the home team is always on the bottom, and the amount, the line is always next to the favorite. Favorite is always laying, underdog is always taking, which is very, very important. A bookmaker would like to get the best of it because it's professional sports. He would like to pick the ones when he's taking, because in baseball, you can win 2 out of 4 and make money. If you lay big odds or a lot of money, 2 out of 4, you could get destroyed. So I'm going to give you the pitfalls and the benefit of my knowledge. You've already absorbed that. So welcome and graduating Bookmaking 101 with Chris Colombo. I'm going to take a short break. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about the Johnny Carson story with my dad. Recently, a writer called me up, wanted to do a book on Johnny Carson and some of my father's influences with Johnny Carson. The story was, pardon the expression, ass backwards and slanted, I guess, to his agenda. My father's been a lot on The Godfather of Harlem, none of which they've portrayed him accurately. The offer, forget about it. The offer, they have him picking up the phone, calling Mickey Cohen. And Mickey Cohen was in Alcatraz. My father did have a lot of juice, but I'm sure he couldn't get him out of Alcatraz to shoot it out ready, the producer of The Godfather. I mean, the whole show is ridiculous. Recently, Godfather of Harlem has become a very, very, very popular series. Bumpy Johnson was a larger-than-life, charismatic leader within the black community, especially in Harlem. My father was friendly with Bumpy Johnson. We did have great respect for Bumpy Johnson, but I think Forrest Whitaker is doing a great job portraying him. I think the writers should stay on strike if this is what they're writing, because none of it's true, or come under the venue of science fiction. Okay, the story that goes, and there, I mean, they had my father dating Vincent the Chin Gigante's daughter. If you break down the age, my father at that time was 46 and she was a toddler, because she's 55 now and my father would have been 100 this past June 16th. And my father was very serious about his ethics and morals. He would never date anybody's daughter or anybody while he was married at that point. A lot of what he did, the Italian American Civil Rights League, was inherently Italians don't stand up for themselves. They don't peacefully protest. And it's always made us targets within the media, within the workplace, whatever. I love, as my father, all people, but Italians I'm particularly proud of, as we all should be, of our roots. And I never met a bad Italian. And one that, we need a little more guidance, but as far as that, I love our people. But I love all people too, as you will see. Later on, you're going to have Murray Richmond come on, who's hailed as a neighborhood attorney. They call him neighborhood to the mob. Don't worry, Murray. His office has been inundated on complaints because most of the people from Harlem migrated to the Bronx, and they knew the truth. I don't know where these people did their research. I don't think it's right after you die that you have no right to your legacy. I mean, can't we paint history the way it is, or at least try to do as much research to deliver the real message? It's like me rewriting the Bible today. I mean, I don't know how effective it would be. Maybe good in some areas, but not very good in others. But continuing, uh, how the inception of the Italian American Civil Rights League started was my father originally was the founder of AID in the 50s, or late 50s, early 60s, of Italians of American descent for the same thing, because in Italian neighborhoods, you didn't have Italian teachers, you didn't have Italian congressmen, you didn't have Italian senators. It was really sad. You didn't have Italian police officers. And it was to have the unity come, the Italian people come together and be represented in their community. And we were also barred from Wall Street and banking. And there were no Italian holidays. And he named me after Cristoforo Colombo, who's Christopher Columbus in Spanish, because he sailed and needed a Pinta to Santa Maria. He made that a national holiday, dedicated it to me. So I took it completely personally when they went against them. And I don't think history has rewrote itself properly, because he never really discovered America. He was in South America. It was Enrico Fermi that did. Or Lee Ferguson. The timeline is off, but it was another Italian. So let's give credit where credit's due. But nobody's taking his statue down, and they shouldn't. Okay, the Italian American Civil Rights League was an inception for Italians to come to in their community and integrate with civil rights of all people, because we understood our plights and others also, and the struggle within being the melting pot in the United States at that time, and to peacefully get along or peacefully protest. And that took him to where he went with Maya Kahani, people like Bumpy Johnson, that were strong leaders in their community, and the Black and the Jewish community, as long as it was people protesting. My brother Joey, to get to my father, who died of the Lyme disease that I have neurologically, which I've been given 6 months to live since 98. Probably because I don't pay my doctor bills. If you don't pay your doctor bills, they let you live longer. No, I'm only kidding. So what happened is they changed the law. My brother was a coin collector. I think he was 17 or 18 years old. And he would collect silver quarters and melt them down, because the silver in the quarter was melt more than a quarter. You're allowed to do that. They changed it and arrested him for interfering with interstate commerce, Hobbs Act, facing 20 years as a young man for this. It was the only federal case in history where we did not give a defense. There was no defense. That's how bad the prosecution's case was, and how slanted it was. So when they arrested my brother Joey, it was definitely to target my father. And my father took myself and my sister, and he went to FBI headquarters on 69th Street, Manhattan. He was kicking on the door. He says, "This is your tactics. These are Gestapo tactics. Take us all." He said, don't hide. This is what you want to do. Take us all. And he was very outraged. And then along came my mentor, who was mentioned on the APOC show, his family. And then you had hundreds of Italians that came, and then they would protest where they had to bring in things in front of the FBI headquarters, and they changed the statutes now because of that, of peaceful protesting, which is unconstitutional. But back to that, you would have 300 to 700 to 800, 900 Italians every night picketing the FBI. Is it all FBI? No, there was a division called the COINTELPRO division that was a secret till it was exposed, that even the FBI didn't know about. I was feeding trailing with the FBI. This particular division was meant to disrupt violently ethnic groups, or what they felt was subversive groups. And who are they to say? If it's not un-American, it's not subversive. So as it went on, the media would not let us be seen, so nobody understood. Going forward, the Carson story. At this period of time, Johnny Carson was one of my favorite talk show hosts, and very charismatic. His monologue is as good as any today it's ever been. And he was the king of late night TV, but he liked to drink, and when he drank, he got a little out of hand, as we all do. I can sympathize. I have done that myself in my earlier, and especially in my darker years. I'm not judging him. The story goes that Carson was drinking, and he was a tremendous ball breaker. And there was a particular woman, very good looking, with a couple of her friends that dated a very prominent guy that the government would call organized crime or a boss of a family. At this particular time, Johnny Carson was inebriated, and he kept making passes and bothering her. And she said, you should really, this is a Patsy's, She told me she should stop. She moved. He came. He kept going. What his intentions were, I can't tell you. When there's a lot of liquor involved, no matter had the best intentions, just came out wrong, as it can do. So the call came. The guy was on his way. The two guys with him knew this guy was going to lose his mind. The ethics and morals of people of that era were very protective over women and children, the elderly, the handicapped, the challenged, as I am. It's instilled in me as a child. Not saying that women are a weaker sex. I'm not saying these people can't do it, but you should be respectful just by the virtue of you should be respectful and then tolerate it. So he was on his way. He didn't want to go. They threw him down the stairs. And this guy arrives and he hears the story and he's outraged. So when I get my hands on him, I'm going to break his neck. I believe he went to NBC and he was very upset. I mean, he wasn't screaming, but you could see it in his eyes, and they were serious people about disrespecting any women or children around them, especially women. And Patsy's really wasn't a bar; it was a restaurant. So if it happened at a discotheque, you could say, follow. So she wasn't putting it out there, and he shouldn't have been acting like she was. Johnny Carson goes on a phrase on the lam. That's hiding. He hides in a place in New Jersey, a motel. But he can't do the show, and Ed McMahon's doing more and more shows. And later he became very popular. Very nice man, by the way, Ed McMahon. Became a very close friend and ally of the Italian-American Civil Rights League. Cy Kravitz, who was a producer, who married Roxy Rocca, who had Lenny Kravitz, was very close with my father, to a gentleman named Vincent Bingo. He brings him. NBC saying, we got this great show, Joe, with Ed McMahon. Could you help us? He says, okay. So he goes and talks to the guy. The guy's upset. He says, I don't know. This guy was out of order. I don't care if he's Johnny Carson or Johnny Appleseed. I'm breaking his face. So he says, who's he to talk like that? So my father calmed him down. He says, listen, there'll be an apology. He says, well, he can't come to New York anymore. Well, that's all right. We'll do that. So my father brokers the deal that Johnny Carson moves the show to California. He can do the show. Nobody will ever bother him again. But when he comes to New York, he's got to get permission. He can't come around people's women and children. They can come for the upfronts. That's why he used to come and leave. Johnny was okay with that. He got a better suntan, looked better for his monologue. And Ed McMahon became very close with my father, and they were very, very close. He used to come to the hospital and the house to visit him. And he ended up being the MC at the Felt Forum, which was the biggest extravaganzas of entertainment and music and comedy that was ever put on. It was the best card ever put out. It was most entertaining for the purposes of helping the Italian-American Civil Rights League. But most importantly, NBC would now, their news staff would cover the picketing of the FBI. And that's how that story goes. We got a great, great guest coming on tonight, dear friend of mine, a great athlete, a great humanitarian, just an all-around good player, Mr. Jason Terry. He's never mind what he's won and what he's done. He's coaching for the Utah Jazz, and he helps a lot of people. We're going to welcome Jason in a minute. Welcome back to Taking Action with Chris Colombo. I got one of the dearest, best human beings I know, probably one of the finest basketball players that ever played the game, Mr. Jason Terry. He's my idol, and I know he's yours because he doesn't know this. He's too fine a person to know this, but whenever he played, it changed lines. He made an impact, and he's left parts of himself all over the court. He's maintained a 21-year marriage with his lovely wife, his support group. Has one of the finest mothers and fathers that God could give you, some of the best siblings. His brother's here with us today. I met him. And I got to tell you, he's got 5 beautiful children, and there's not a more giving man to the game or humanity than Mr. Jason Terry. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
My honor, my pleasure. Welcome to Taking Action, Jason. Here's to you, your friends, your family, and the viewers. God bless. Jay, people don't realize how hard it is to be an NBA player. I know you've left pieces of yourself all over the court, correct?
For sure. 100%.
And you have 5 beautiful children?
Yeah. All girls.
All girls.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
Right. I might take it.
Your wife supports you. You've went to different towns. You managed to keep your family together. beautiful family, and you're a wonderful person on and off the court. You're a superstar.
No, thank you.
You're my hero.
I appreciate you.
Pal, I tell you, not a compliment, a fact. One of the things we talk about here is legalized gambling. I know you like to gamble, correct?
Nah, I don't really like it. I like to win.
Like to win. Okay, well, that's why you're on this show, Jason. Because that's what we do here.
Yeah.
We win.
Yes, sir.
And that's what you've always done. So you'll be an inspiration for the gambler out there to do what?
Oh, man, they better
And let me tell you, when you bet on Jason Terry, it's a lock. I come to know this man, his stats, because I changed lines when he played in favor of him. He was a beast. Steal the ball, number 8, all-time 3 shots?
7 or 8.
7. I said 7. They said 8. I'll give you
6.
6. I think they fudged it against you.
They might have missed a couple. They missed a couple threes over 19 years. They can do that from time to time.
Over 19 years, right?
19 years.
It's not like you did it 2 years. You know what I mean? 19.
2 decades, cross 2 eras, 2 generations. We'll talk about, this era compared to that one. Well, I was able to witness both and compete against both. So it's just a blessing.
It was a blessing.
God gave me the health and the strength. And you talked about earlier, my support system, my family, my wife, couldn't be able to concentrate and accomplish the things I did in sports without having a good support system. Mom, dad, brothers, sisters. I'm one of 10, single parent mother, father in the picture, but mom really held it down for us. So
God bless mothers.
God got to give the mothers all.
First day of my life when I lost my mom.
Yeah, tough. Sorry to hear that.
She's still with us.
She's still here.
Here's to your mom, Jay.
Hey, in a basketball gym somewhere in the Northwest.
In Italian, we say Gindan, 100 years happy and healthy. I said that to a man once. He was 99. He punched me in the face.
Did he make it to 100?
What?
Question. Did he make it to 100?
Yeah, I couldn't fight back. just for legal purposes, I made sure he made it to 110. They would have blamed me for that too, Jay.
Oh, dang. Oh, man.
I know how important family is to you. You did a magnificent thing for me. I don't know if you can see it. There's the picture of the entire Nets team around my son Joey.
Yeah.
With a dear friend of ours, he's here now, Top Cat. Explained to him because of my case and situations. I was going through a divorce, custody.
Met Top Cat, man, in the back. I think we're in the back of the Denver Nuggets arena.
Right.
I think he was hanging out with Melo. It's freaking 25 degrees. I'm on a West Coast road trip. I come in from Atlanta. I don't have a jacket. Lo and behold, Top Cat has 2 mink coats. One Frank Lucas, the other one I call it Barracuda. I bought both of them. I mean, and we've been friends ever since, man. Just a great dude, always there for you. Whatever you need, he's right on time.
Always.
And if you need a driver, you need to get somewhere in the blink of an eye, he can get you there.
Yes.
But he's another one, just family. Another part of my support system too. For the years I've been in the league.
All right, once again,
yes, sir.
Top Cat. He'll be joining us on the show on another episode. There's a lot of stories between me and Top Cat. Yes, all good.
Yeah.
Except the chicken palm, we're not going to tell that one. They might cancel us if that's possible.
Yes,
anyway, Jason, so your success came from hard work, determination.
No doubt.
Your family and God, right?
No doubt about it. When I grew up in Seattle, Washington as a young kid, I didn't have dreams and aspirations to play in the NBA. It was just like, let's go to college, maybe play professionally. But once I got to a certain point and I had mentors around me, Gary Payton, Xavier McDaniel, when you come from the inner city and you have NBA pros that you look up to, that look like you, that are encouraging you and giving you encouragement to be the best version of yourself and really hands-on caring about you as a person, it gives you all the power to go out there and try to succeed. And so, I can't say I got here alone. I mean, I had great role models. And
teamwork makes the dream work.
And you need them. You need them. And, Hall of Famers, GP, he's still a good friend today. I call him Unc. Reminds me a lot of you. Like, he the boss.
You call me Uncle Toy.
Yeah, Unc, you the boss. He's the boss. So, no, that was my support system. But I never thought I would play 19 years. It wasn't my dream. It was just to get there. And I got there, was able to stay in it, and had some great memories along the way, man. I made you cringe a couple of times, but probably made you happy on other occasions. But you always played the game to win. And I thought if I did that, I did my job. And I never forgot about the people, because the people are what make us.
Positive energy.
Right. Positive energy. And to see your son, to be able to touch him, encourage him in a time, I didn't know what he was going through. You never know what people are going through.
Never know.
But that's why I always take my time out, shake a hand, take a picture, sign an autograph. and you never know the impact you can have.
Yeah, I hail you for that. Man is a superstar on and off the court. In his marriage and his childhood, I met his brother today for the first time. He's here. We're going to do a lot of this today because
Yes,
I love
sir.
Cason. He's one of my heroes.
Yes, sir. One of
It's a
10.
long time. I'm so happy to have him on, and we share mutual friends. And getting to know his brother, you could see that it's just that family unit and that love, that support that was given to him.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see. Hey, let me ask you a question. What was the best day in basketball for you? I'm not going to ask you the best day in life because
Best day.
the kids are being born. That wouldn't be fair.
You know, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't when I first picked the ball up, right? Slick Watts was my third grade PE teacher. We never played kickball, softball, dodge them, whatever you want to call it. We played basketball every day.
Basketball.
This is in third grade.
So the first time you picked up that ball was the best day of
That
your
was
life.
the best day of my life. And then I put the headband on because he wore one. And in the rest, I want to say history, but sounds cliche, but it was. I mean, and I've had great days along the way, long journey, you know, a lot of years, and I'm still having them. Like I'm coaching now. I'm coaching with the Utah Jazz.
It was good. You liked it?
Yeah, it's
I
great.
coached not at your level, but it's an intrinsic value.
Right. But
Yes.
the joy you get from seeing others succeed when you've given them that confidence, the biggest joy for me, like when I shoot a three in your face and fly off and take off, you know, because you can't do it anymore. But time with these young men or young women, and you've empowered them to go out and do some great things.
Well, by the way, we just had a half court one-on-one. You destroyed me, so you still got
that wasn't intentional. That was just, you know, you get in the fight and it's.
Bro, you had your eyes closed, was on the cell phone, and stubbed your toe, and you beat me.
Yeah. As long as I don't get in your square circle, you know what I mean? That's
I
heard about you. I heard about you in the ring now. They said you could throw them a little bit.
No, those days were over. My mission in life is to unite people and not fight and help them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No doubt.
Through a lot of the pains and things I went through, that's the purpose of this. Maybe I can educate people that don't have to go through those hard knocks.
Yeah.
You know?
But you know what? The hard knocks is what makes us, right? You know, we all come onto this earth, you know, we take our first breath, we go through it, and you're on your own journey, right? I can't tell you how to do what I did because you're not me. You don't have the same circumstances. But what I can tell you is respect others, right?
It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
It's how you do it. And it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much effort to be a good person and really, you know, be genuine. And I think that's why you and I kind of hit it off, and we live by
something. It's a long time now, right?
Yeah, a long time.
Long time. And you never judged me by what they said about me in the papers and all that. Even though you could have been looked at adversely.
Right. I mean, think if we had social media back when I first was coming in, I mean, there's so many things that I could tell you, but you wouldn't believe it unless you were there.
Right.
I've seen it. So I'm not here to judge anyone. Everyone has their own journey. And like you said, I'm here to unite people and help people become the best version of themselves. And I think that's what coaching does for me. It gives me that joy. And you know, that's kind of my purpose. That's my life.
You know, I'm a Utah Jazz fan now.
Are you? See, I got the Jazz old colors on, man.
I like white.
I got to get you the purple.
All right, I'm in. Those are my colors now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Come up to the mountains.
How do you think the season's going to do, Jay?
It's going to be a good season. We got a great young coach. First of all, management, ownership. Like, I don't care who you are and what you do in life, but when you're in the working field and force, if you work for a good boss and you're a boss, you know, and you got good employees, they enjoy coming to work for you every day. And we have one of the greatest owners in basketball. Our head coach, not gonna let
thanks for the ownership of the Utah Jazz.
Our head coach is young; he's 35.
Yes,
and he's just been a joy to work with. I've worked with the other kind of people that aren't so fun, and this guy just loves his job. He loves coming to work. He loves seeing people be happy and thrive and being themselves. Like, he lets you be you. He doesn't restrict you, put you in a box. And so I take pride in coming to work every day for him. And this season, we had a great, young, talented roster.
Yeah.
And, man, last year, we just missed the play-in. This year, if I had to bet on it, I won't put a tattoo on it quite yet.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to do something special this season.
I'm going to be there with you as a fan, as always.
Yeah. You got to bring young Joey, man. Come.
You don't know how important you were in my life because I used to adjust the line when you played. 6-man off the bench, you could bet quarters in basketball was important.
I know nothing.
I know, but I studied you pretty good. And there were a lot of people betting on you, Jay.
Ah, man. So I've heard. I don't know. But
No, naturally not. You're a decent human being. That's why I go to jail and you're coaching. But I always got a cell with a view of the TV.
Yes,
so when there was a late night game out in LA, I could watch it.
Yeah, look how gambling was shunned upon and looked at, say 10, 15 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And now how much a part of our way of life, society it is now. Everywhere you go, I mean, there's TV's on and there's some kind of sports game that they're watching. NFL, baseball, college, you name it. I mean, it's a way of life now.
Yes.
And
it always was, but it was underground.
But now people
are starting to talk about it.
Yeah, because they're monetizing.
What is vice today is commerce tomorrow.
Exactly. In other ways as well, but we won't talk about that.
Like Catholic Church. If you ate meat on Friday, you went to hell. Now you can eat meat. What happens with all the people? What about a hell?
Right. I mean, so
gamblers are good people.
But it's like anything else. You have to evolve and you have to
have parameters.
And I'll just tell you this: when you gamble, if you gamble, just know your limitations. Know what you're willing. I'm
going to educate them how to gamble because the good bookmaker can't take advantage of them.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I'm doing this show is I couldn't talk about it openly, and what I've learned, and I was one of the best, if not the best, because the line is important. They don't realize it. And number two, there's a certain people with the addictive gene.
Yeah.
And because it was illegal, that held a lot of them back. And now that it is legal, I want to make sure they don't get hurt.
Right. What does that say about society, though? If they know, right, that you're addicted to something and you make it illegal, so you don't kind of want to do it, you got to kind of sneak.
Society on a whole is always taking advantage of that.
Right.
Those are the people that hurt bookmakers.
Message.
Because they can beat you for 50, 60, 70,000, lose 3,000 and not be able to pay you. And you're already out of pocket. If they started out with that, you negotiated. It's paper, And it was a big fallacy that bookmakers hurt people. We did not. We didn't let them bet over their heads because we didn't want to get in trouble. Go to jail, number one. And number two, how do you hurt your customers?
Right.
It'd be like every time you do a 3-pointer, you run the audience and punch a fan. Don't make sense.
Right.
Not that you would do that. That example. I mean, you actually hug them and give them love when you do it. You feel they helped you get that.
Unless it was the Miami Heat.
My whole family is a fan of yours, my children.
Okay.
Before you, Walt Frazier was my big fan.
Wow. What a human being.
Yes.
Great. Anybody that can transcend time, right? The same dress code he had in the 70s, he's still rocking it in the 2023.
Yes.
It's incredible.
That whole team I liked: Lewis Reed, Walt Frazier, Dave DeBusschere, half-court shots.
When is that coming back?
Bill Bradley.
What are they going to do? I'm not at liberty to talk about any other franchise or organization, but I mean, you're a fan.
My personal opinion, I think history will always repeat itself. It's kind of like fashion. It'll always come back in.
Right, because I was in the mall with my daughters yesterday, and I'm like, those skinny things right there that I would never put on, right? 5 years I've been wearing the skinnies. He said, Dad, you can't wear that shit anymore. You got to, excuse my language, but you got to put the baggies on. I said, I had a whole wardrobe full of baggies. You made me throw them away.
Yeah. My mother used to say, keep it and be back in style.
Right. Oh, man. Kids.
People have the desire to experience things again.
Yes.
I have a philosophy. Forget the experience, remember the lesson. People hold to the experience. And you've had a lot of experiences in basketball. Your injuries, I know you fought through like a champ.
Yeah.
People don't realize how much pain you played in.
Yeah.
And what got you through those points, Jay? I know you were in.
Yeah. For me, it was always the love of the game. Just the will to win, and to be out there with your guys. It's not the same. If you're hurt or you're ailing, right? We all play X amount of games. I got different knick-knack injury stuff. But if you're hurt and you're not in uniform or you're not out there with the guys, like when I was in Brooklyn, for example, Top Cat to tell you this, he used to take me to therapy every day.
Yeah, I know. He told me the story. That's how I know.
2-3 months every day.
We prayed for you.
Man, thank you. And
thank God.
And they're right.
I had somewhere to pray.
Man.
Somebody was listening.
Somebody was listening.
Right.
And for me, those days were the hardest because I was with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson, Darren Williams, Brooke Lopez. These are Hall of Fame caliber players. And my coach was Jason Kidd, Hall of Fame. Yeah. And we were picked to win it. We weren't a super team, but if you looked on paper, we looked very super, right? But I couldn't be out there with the guys and it killed me. That probably was the lowest point of my career since I was in the league, just because I couldn't be out there.
You know, I always described you as like you glided.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You were just there and gone, right?
Jet, baby, take off.
Gone.
Yeah.
What do you credit that to? Did you see it before it happened?
You know what? I just knew at my size, at 6'2", right? 175 maybe on a good day. And all these giants are out here in the best league in the world.
I feel the same way every day.
Every day, right?
Yeah,
so
5'6".
So what is your advantage? Like, there you go. Here and my speed, my God-given talent, and the heart. So I had three things.
Somewhere we're not going to point.
Oh, but I had three things. I could count on those three things any given night. Whether I was making shots or missing them, I was going to be one of the fastest players out there. My heart and my hustle, and then my IQ.
How much practicing did you put in, James?
A lot. People see the games, they see the made shots, the 7th all time, but the work that I put in to get to that level. Say you took 10 shots in a game. Literally, I had to take 1,000 of those same shots just to be able to get out there with the confidence to take those 10. And I think young people today still don't realize that, because now you got social media where I can post 2-3 minute clip of me working out, busting somebody, or making 2 or 3 shots, and then they think that's all they need.
Is it fair to say that your God-given gift was to be a basketball player? And that's your natural talents?
Well, yeah, I think that, and then just being a people person, like being able to affect and touch people in different realms of walks of life.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is a superstar.
Yeah.
That is a superstar.
Appreciate you.
In my opinion, you're one of the finest human beings I've had the pleasure and the honor to sit with and know.
Oh, thank you.
You give more than you take.
Yeah.
And you don't even take, you earn.
That is true.
Unless you're stealing a basketball and you take it.
Then I'm going to take it for sure.
And them 3-pointers you're giving pain, brother.
Yeah, you know what? No doubt. Play with a lot of good teammates too, man. A lot of good coaches. Coaches too, very important. You know,
who's your favorite coach? Because I coached a lot of different sports,
you know,
not at that level.
Man, it's crazy. If I went down the list of my coaches, like NBA, obviously, rest in peace, my 2 high school coaches, but yeah, rest in peace. Those two great men, because they laid the foundation, right? When I didn't have belief in myself, they gave me that belief to be who I am. But you know, Lute Olson, another one, rest in peace. We just did a documentary for Lute last year. Just amazing how he gave, but how he connected people, right? I think that's what it goes back to. Coaching is about connecting people, right? And so my first coach, ex-Seattle Sonic, Lenny Wilkins in the NBA, smooth as can be, right? Calm under pressure. My next coach was a college coach, still a good friend of mine today. He actually ended up coaching my brother at UNLV, Lon Kruger. Just a good family man, good spirited guy. Didn't last long in the league, but went back to college, and he's been coaching. He's retired now, coached over 30 years. Then let me go to Don Nelson, the Wizard of basketball.
That's my nickname. That's why I love him.
He reinnovated.
He saw it before.
He saw it before. It was not scared to do it.
That's my nickname.
Think about it.
The Ghost and the Wizard.
The way the game has evolved and is played now, when you talk about small ball positionless,
yeah,
he knew it.
He knew it.
And he was the first one.
My hair's standing up. Look at that. The Wizard.
Wizard.
You know, sports are a very big part of my life.
I'm telling you, the hell with defense. The goal and objective of the game is to put the ball in the basket.
Yes.
Right? And size ain't shit. It don't matter.
No.
Right?
How tall are you, Jay?
6'2".
6'2". So that's short for basketball play.
That's short.
That's why you've always been one of my favorites.
Man.
Like Russell Wilson, too. Man. They said he was too short to play. Everything they told me I was too short.
They got to root for the little guy, man. They got to root for him.
And I used to tell him, the taller you are, the further your brain is from your body. He used to say.
Right. No doubt. But Don was a good man. He was a good man. And then
he was a wizard.
Avery Johnson. Avery Johnson, to this day, for me, it had to be all time. You know why? Because it wasn't about basketball, but he used basketball as a tool to get to me, to help me understand that I need to have a well-rounded life, bringing Christ into my life, right?
Bible saved me
every day. Bible
from myself.
Film study, you know, marital counseling. Like this man was sent from he was sent from above.
He was a true mentor in every way.
In every
life coach.
Life coach.
Life coach.
Yeah. true to his form.
God bless.
Tough, but he was fair. And
That's me.
And that's the type of coach who I emulate after. Rick Carlisle was a mad scientist.
Yes.
He would have lineups up. He would kill you in your thing that you like to do, but he had lineups 3 or 4 weeks ahead of time. And man, he knew when to just get out the way. He just got out the way, gave the ball to J Kidd, and we ended up winning the championship with Rick. Played for J Kidd, played with him. Another just a brainiac. Just can see it before it happens.
See it before it happened.
Yeah. But those were
I believe
guys.
in that.
Oh, can't forget the OG, Kevin McHale. You like the Celtics?
Oh, love Kevin McHale.
You like the Celtics?
I love Larry Bird. He had
Yeah,
no physical
no
attributes whatsoever, just the knowledge and the desire.
People don't understand. Everybody talks about Larry. I talk about him because he's one of the greatest shooters ever. But
Ever.
His supporting crew. Kevin McHale, Dennis Johnson, Danny Ainge. I work for Danny Ainge.
Yeah,
too.
Kevin McHale.
Tough. Kevin McHale was freaking tough. Great coach. Almost won a championship in Houston with Kevin, man.
Yeah.
Gave me an opportunity when nobody else.
They were outmanned with the Lakers in the battle every year.
Every year. He was a factor. Kevin McHale was a factor.
On the expression, balls to the wall.
Yeah. You talk to KG will tell you.
I never understood why they interfered with Larry Bird coaching.
Yeah, you know what? Larry was a tough coach here. I wasn't there, but Larry's a tough coach. Good president, though. Good GM.
Yeah.
Good
GM.
Yeah, but you got to remember, too, I think he was a pretty damn good coach. He fucking took him to the finals twice, right?
Yes.
Once or twice. Eastern finals for sure. Then he took them to the finals. They lost to the Lakers.
Yes.
Nobody was beating the Lakers.
You know, the LA Lakers used to be in Wisconsin. That's why they call the Lakers.
Really?
Because there's no lakes in LA. Now, how about, did you know this? The Utah Jazz used to be the New Orleans Jazz.
New Orleans Jazz.
I knew that. That's why it's Jazz.
I knew that. I'm a historian of the game. My team, I started with the Hawks. I bet you don't know where they started.
When the Atlanta Hawks started? Well, I got to tell you this. I remember as a kid, when I was a kid, basketball cards were a little bigger. Yeah. Baseball cards was taller.
Yeah.
So if I had to guess, the Atlanta Hawks, I think they started in Chicago, didn't they?
Close. Midwest.
They were a Midwest team. Yeah. Where?
St. Louis.
St. Louis, that's right.
St. Louis Hawks. Minneapolis Lakers.
The Billikens.
St. Louis Hawks. Yep.
St. Louis Billikens.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, that was my first.
I like the Atlanta Hawks. I like Atlanta as a town.
Atlanta's a good town.
Young town.
You know what has changed over the years, but for me to hit my start in Atlanta,
so they got your heart.
Coming from Seattle, from way north to the south.
Yes.
Different, right? Different.
I spent a lot of time in North Carolina, South Carolina, in Clemson.
There you go.
So I used to spend a lot of time in Atlanta. I had some businesses in South Carolina, in Clemson, Anderson, and Greenville. So they didn't have really anything but college sports. Yeah. I mean, that town with football, Clemson, they really, if the Tiger Paws coming in, the whole town shuts down.
Wow.
But if you went to see baseball or something out, you went into Atlanta.
Oh, my God. The Braves.
Or basketball.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have a pro team in Carolinas, right?
Carolina, Charlotte. And we can call it. I mean, Mike just sold the team. Again, I'm not here I'm not at
Michael Jordan
or any other franchise. Yeah, but yeah, they definitely he just sold.
I tell you, Michael Jordan,
a ton of money.
He did a lot for basketball.
Are you kidding?
He was going down the tubes till
He is the reason that I really took my game to the next level. If you played the game of basketball, you had a time on the court, on the playground by yourself, where you emulated Michael Jordan.
Can I tell you something? I'm a short, chubby Italian man. I emulate Michael Jordan.
See what I'm saying?
When I watched him, it looked like he never even had to give 100%. He could score at will.
But if you thought about it,
I don't think his talents were ever challenged.
He never broke a sweat, but he played the hard. People don't give him credit for that. They were like, "Oh, he can fly, he can jump." I watched how hard he
didn't bother him.
How hard he competed to win.
And great sneakers, too.
Oh, my God. I still got, man, I think that's all I wear nowadays.
That's important. I like Michael. He was, I liked Magic, Dr. J.
Isaiah, Magic, Dr. J.
Dr. J.
I played golf with Dr. J in Atlanta. He had a golf course back in the day, man. Hey.
What's his name?
Class act.
The Denver Nuggets.
Professional.
Phoenix Suns. He never got to win a chip. Charles Barkley. I always felt bad he never won a chip.
I worked with Charles Barkley on Turner.
Is he a sweetheart, as they say?
It's crazy because how you see him on TV
is how he is.
No, I went to a speech that he gave at the University of Auburn, And I sat there and I listened to this man. And this man is as intelligent and as articulate as they come. And it was truly amazing to hear his story and his journey and how he related to people.
He gave 100%.
And how he gave 100%.
Everywhere.
And
always felt bad he never won a chip.
You know, it's just something, it's not in the card for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about timing.
Understated elegance, too. He never showboated.
Nah, but Chuck was
That's why I like Walter Payton.
Killer. Rip your heart out.
Score a touchdown.
See, football, that's my first love, football. You talk about sweetness.
I love sweetness.
See, I had, man, first Christmas, I got the Chicago Bears helmet with the 34 jersey, the pants. Oh, man.
Mike Dicker looked like a bear. I think he got that team in a cave. Bears, they were vicious.
I'm a Seahawk till I die. But I tell you what, them tough Bears.
It's one of the best teams that ever existed.
Bears had it.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
Samurai Mike with them eyes.
Singletary.
Willie Gault. McMahon was completely crazy.
Yeah. I like McMahon.
He
gave the swag, the headband, the swag.
He thought he was an offensive lineman.
Oh, man.
How about when he gave himself a concussion, headbutt in the center?
Think about the characteristics that all these great men that we just spoke about, we talked about in professional sports, and what does it come down to? How hard they competed to win. The will to win is a skill.
How about that Bears team? Third game of the season, they put out a video. We're not here to cause no trouble. We're just here to do the Super Bowl shuffle.
Swag.
Wow.
Yeah, man, that's my type of people, man.
That's in the NFL.
Yeah, but they believe. They knew it.
They knew it.
Yeah.
They saw it before it happened.
There it is. Before it happened, right there. NBA championship tattooed on my.
Hey, you're pretty jacked.
No. I lost.
I better watch out. You don't get mad at me.
No, not at all.
I'm teasing.
Not at all. We family. We're
family, brother.
Yes, sir. Talk about that for me, real. Just spread some jewels on me and how much family has meant to you throughout your lifetime and your career.
I didn't have a mother and father long, but I had probably the best there ever was. And I'm sure everybody's parents, they feel the same way. And I say it right now, and I'll say it forever. To have my mother and father back for 10 minutes, I'd cut off both my arms and legs and roll through life with a smile. That's how much I miss my parents. With the good deeds that I try to do, and there are many, and I'm not known for them, I'm told that part of the story, I want those prayers answered that I could be reunited with them again, because that's what I lost. And my children, I'd like to say, I put them through a hell of a tumultuous time with the government, with a divorce, locked in this house under house arrest, facing the rest of my life in jail after they locked me in the house with them to separate from them. Probably one of the few people, while facing the rest of my life in jail, wearing a bracelet deemed a danger to the community. I got custody of my children. That's how determined I was. So at that period of time, your basketball court, that game behind you was that net. Mine was survival to keep the things you really love.
Wow.
And you're one of those people that inspired me to do that. And that's what neurological line, double hip replacement, top cat, I tell you. They told me I had to go to rehab for 3 weeks. So I had to stay in the hospital 10 days. I'm leaving and walking out of here 2 days after the operation. Right, Cat? And I did. He used to come and stay with me at night because they didn't want to leave me alone because I had to do 2 at once. And they weren't doing them that at that time. And man, when I've always needed close friends, they've always been there, you know? And when they've always needed me, I've always been there, and I always will be, you know? Very fortunate. Not many people beat 72 counts of federal trial with an 87%. But I admitted what I did, gambling. Is that my lawyer wouldn't admit it. Check guilty. 1 more, I'm gone. 2 counts in a RICO. But, you know, I believe in the truth. You know, let's tell it the way it is. I take responsibility for my actions. I do what I feel is right. If that has consequences, I'll accept them. I've always had the fortune of having the heroes like yourself that I've admired to come to know. And when I did get to know them, I know my judgment was right because you're a superstar off the court, maybe more than you are on the court. And I think the truly great ones have that. And whatever they do, and when I say there are no menial jobs, it's not what you do, it's how you do it. I says, and I don't think it's the applause or anything. I think you play for the fans, not for their appreciation. I think you give to them. And, you know, I'm tickled to death you're here. I'm happy.
Man.
If the covert we separated a while, I missed some things. You know, I died a couple of times at that point, but I don't want to talk about that at this point. But I'm glad we're all back together and healthy as a nation. I'm going to be rooting for the Utah Jazz. They're my new favorite team.
Yes,
I'm going to get their colors. Is there anything else you'd like to say? Would you like to say hello to your kids? I mean, they see you every day on TV. You don't need that.
Man, just to be in your presence of
And
greatness.
being in yours.
You know, and it's about people.
God
man.
brought us together as
He
always.
did.
That's our job to keep it going.
No doubt. And we will.
God helps those that help themselves.
Yes, sir.
And the Lord hates a coward.
He didn't make one.
And that,
Not
you always
in
have
me,
the choice
not in
whether it
you.
be Christ or Judas. Pick Christ every time.
Yes, sir. No doubt.
Thank you, Cason.
Man, appreciate you. You know that love.